Our journey began with the drive to Denver and parking the car at the RTD lot. Check-in at the Denver airport went smoothly, but the travel to our gate at JFK was frantic due to the large number of travelers for the Labor Day weekend. After the long flight to Barcelona, we had a difficult time with the Princess transfer to the ship, but we finally made it and settled into our cabin and met up with Bo and Linda. Gibraltar has been a place of renown since ancient times. There is evidence of early Neanderthal habitation, and the Phoenicians lived here for several centuries, beginning in 950 BC. In Greek mythology, Gibraltar was created by Hercules, and with the corresponding Atlas Mountains in Morocco, formed what was called the Pillars of Hercules. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Gibraltar was ruled by the Vandals, the Visigoths, and the Moors. It came under Spanish rule in 1462 and remained so until 1713, when the Treaty of Utrecht gave Gibraltar to the British. The citizens of Gibraltar have voted to remain a British protectorate in 1967 and once again in 2002. The Rock of Gibraltar is the main tourist attraction. It contains a cave that is used for entertainment venues and several miles of tunnels and a military fortress. Barbary apes inhabit this rocky crag and make a habit of stealing food from the vendors and annoying the tourist. Having been here before and touring the rock, we chose to stay aboard the ship to rest up for the coming ports. We watched the heavy ship traffic passing through the Strait of Gibraltar from the open area at the back of Deck 16. We took a ship's tour to the Luberon district of France. This is an agricultural area noted for vineyards, olive groves, and lavender fields. Our first stop was the village of Lourmarin. We exited the bus near the chateau, which was constructed in the 12th century. The town was burned down in 1545 during the wars between Protestants and Catholics. Although it is listed as one of the most beautiful villages in France, we were not that impressed with Lourmarin. We did a brief walking tour to a church and returned to the bus. The writers Henri Bosco and Albert Camus lived in Lourmarin and are buried in its cemeteries. We then drove to this Roman bridge which was constructed in the year 3 BC. It straddles the Calaban River and was part of the Via Domitia Road. It was used for car traffic as recently as 2005. After the brief stop at Pont Julien, we drove to the village of Ile-sur-la-Sauge for lunch. The weather turned a little nasty while we were eating, but we did do a brief walking tour along the canal and the old part of town. The town is noted for the water wheels that dot its many canals. We were told that high winds would cause us to dock in La Spezia tomorrow rather than Livorno. This caused a major change in plans for us. We had planned to take the train today to the Cinque Terre and rent a car in Livorno for the Tuscany hill towns. Now we will do a hop-on hop-off bus in Genoa and take the train to Cinque Terre from La Spezia tomorrow. This means we will miss Florence, Volterra, and San Gimignano completely. Genoa has been a historic port for centuries. It is currently the busiest port in the Mediterranean. Between the 12th and 15th centuries, Genoa was one of the wealthiest cities in all of Europe, and it was a dominant naval power in the Mediterranean area. Although disputed by some, Genoa is generally accepted as the birthplace of Christopher Columbus. It is also the hometown of the Grimaldi family that now rules Monaco. Genoa is one of the oldest inhabited cities in Europe, dating back to the 5th century BC. Genoa supported Rome in the Punic Wars and was destroyed by the Carthaginians in 209 BC. The First, Second, and Third Crusades brought great wealth to Genoa, but in the Fourth Crusade, Venice got the upper hand in the Mediterranean trade. This began a slow decline in Genoese power. The oldest part of Genoa is a maze of narrow streets and alleyways. We enjoyed seeing the beautiful architecture from the bus as we made the circuit through town. A change in plans once again. Trains are on strike today, so no train trip up and down the Cinque Terre. Instead, we waited at a kiosk in the terminal building to book a private tour. The cost was the same for up to 8 people, so we became tour hawkers until we found 4 others who were interested in taking the tour. We drove the coastline, which was more scenic than the train, and parked at the upper end of the village of Manarola. The village was heavily damaged by floods in 2008 from the stream that flows under the main street. This stream used to power water wheels along its length and is the source of the town name. We walked down to the port and along the way viewed the bell tower and church. We also traversed the Piazza Capellini with its colorful fish mosaic. The main street ends at the sea where there is a small swimming area. From here you can see the hiking trail that leads to the next village of Cornelia. From Manarola, we drove to Rio Maggiore and parked at the top of the main street. This is our favorite town in all of the Cinque Terre, having stayed here several nights on a trip in 2010. The main street is even steeper than that in Manarola and winds its way down to a small harbor area that our apartment overlooked. Leaving Rio Maggiore, we drove along the coast and stopped at an overlook to view the Cinque Terre coastline. Traveling back through La Spezia, we arrived at a beautiful coastal town of Porto Venere. This was a new location for us, and we enjoyed strolling the waterfront area. We found a restaurant with a view of the harbor and had lunch before heading back to the ship. We enjoyed the sail away from La Spezia off the back of the ship on deck 16. This became our favorite location to sit and watch the scenery as we sailed away from the many different ports we visited on this cruise.